Hey, folks, welcome to GAG Anime. We are going to be discussing Season 2 Solo Leveling, Rise from the Shadow. That's the title of Season 2. And joining me today, we've got RG Cashmere, the level 105 Opinionator. What's going on, man?
Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Looking
Wonderful.
forward to this.
Yeah. So there are 5 episodes currently released in Season 2 of Solo Leveling, and I've been watching with eager anticipation. As you see, I'm the S rank anime fan. I've been on this episode by episode every week when it comes out. This show actually has me tempted to just skip the anime and go pick up the manhwa and just read through it. I like give me the story. I need more, and I can't get enough waiting week to week. So I get how people become inspired to just read the manga because like when it starts getting good you need more, and if you can't get enough, the only way to get more is to go to the source. So I definitely understand how that happens now. So Solo Leveling, give a quick synopsis, give a brief reminder of what has happened so far. In season 1 we had Jin-Woo. Jin-Woo was an E rank, the weakest adventurer in all existence. And he ends up getting a special power, a special skill, ability. He goes into the double dungeon. The grinning evil statue grants him this power where he has the ability to gain level. What happens after that? Give a quick synopsis of the story and where we are now.
Yeah, quick little background. So I'm a big fan, read the manhwa. I am halfway through the light novel. So we're in a universe where basically they have these dungeons that open, these gates that open, they have these monsters they have to fight. Certain people are given powers. They are called hunters. And whenever you awaken with hunter powers, you awaken at a certain level. You awaken from rank E to rank S, S being the most powerful.
The highest.
The specialty of this world is, well, one of the rules of this universe is that whatever rank you were given when you awaken, that is your rank. There is no amount of grinding, no amount of work, studying, training that will get your level higher. So you're born a C rank, you're a C rank. You're born an A rank, you're an A rank. And we have our main protagonist, main character, Jin-Woo, who was an E rank and is known as the weakest hunter. Okay. So that is really the main point of this story, is that he starts as the lowest, but because of, like you said, his special ability, which is he can level up, he can train and do certain things, and he will level up, and he is the only one in this universe that is allowed to do this. So we had season 1 where we learn all of this, and we watch him go through his adventures of leveling up, and we ended season 1 with him getting his new sort of general OP'd power in anime, and one thing is also in gaming, which is necromancy, the ability to bring people back from the dead. Anybody who games knows that if you are a necromancer, you are kind of OP'd. So this there's a lot
You can
of
solo
room.
Diablo if you play the necromancer class.
Quite easily. So yeah, that's what we're gonna get to see out of Jin-Woo in the upcoming episodes.
Now, as we get into season 2, one of the first things we see more battles with Jin-Woo, where he is going on some dungeon diving, kind of on his own, as he's taking his team and he's signing up for different raids that he can go and attend. That way he can get more experience, as he's the only one who can take advantage of it, but it allows him the opportunity to fight stronger monsters, because as an E rank hunter, he can only enter certain dungeons. But if he can team up with people of higher ranks, he can tag along their adventures. We've seen a couple people, some returning characters. The son of the guild head, he's still teaming with Jin-Woo. Looks as Jin-Woo as an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
Best
Jin-Ho, I think he's Jin-Ho.
Yeah, and he's looking at Jin-Woo as an older brother, and Jin-Woo admittedly has kind of been using him, but at the same time, he recognizes that not really. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not really like they're benefiting from one another. He's clearing out these A-rank dungeons by taking Jinho with him, but it gives him access to these A-rank dungeons. So it's a mutual benefit for both. They're both taking advantage of it. And Jinho is trying to become the guild master in his family's guild. So they've been working together in that regard. Jin-Woo is starting to make a little bit of noise. People are taking notice of him, and guilds and everybody. He finally, episode 3? He finally decides to go and get reassessed, which has been very interesting because it is unique to see other people have power, but it's almost like he's making them keep to secrecy because he doesn't want it to get out. But it's like, bro, you like the strongest that's out there now. You know what I'm saying? And some of the battles we've seen, he took over and he actually had to fight an A-rank hunter who fell by his blade, and when he used his skill, Arise, to bring him back and put him in his spirit army. That guy, what was his name? Iron. He now has Iron, who was a hunter that basically like morphed, and now that's like part of his spirit army. And that was kind of I didn't see that coming. That was interesting. Now he fought the elf, the frost elf.
Yes.
And
Baruka.
That's him right there. You can't really see it because of the glare, but yeah, he fought the frost elf. And the conversation he has with the frost elf was kind of weird because the frost elf says to him, like, you don't seem like the others.
Well, you are hold on, you are going very, very quick into this because another thing we want our audience to understand is that the ability of these enemies and these monsters to communicate with the hunters has never been done before. So him communicating with this ice elf is a first. Like, this is a whole new thing right now that in this universe is happening. So that's a big deal that he gets to communicate with that boss.
See, now there's an episode that comes up later where I could tell that was kind of a big deal with the glitching and everything. So at the first instance of seeing it, I didn't know that this was. I just thought the way Jin-Woo thought at the moment that this was a special creature because this monster could talk, and that's it's not uncommon in RPG literature and lore and things like in fantasy lore for monsters who speak to be special monsters. So I didn't think anything of it initially. And of course, I was just like, maybe the ice elf is another player. That was what was going through my mind because I'm like, he apparently has some skills and things that Jin-Woo doesn't know about. His tactics are a little bit different. Maybe there's more to this elf. What if he's a player also, which is why they appear different to one another? Because instead of it being PvE, now it's PvP. That's different because it felt like that was different for the ice elf also.
Right.
That's where I'm going with it. Of course, I'm always the conspiracy theorist when it comes to anime. Like, I have to figure it out before it happens. So that's where my mind went.
But they did address it immediately.
Right there in
that's the glitch you were talking about.
Right.
The ice elf glitched because Jin-Woo asked him a question that really had to do with, hey, why am I able to communicate with? Why are we able to do this? And what is this world? Who do you get your orders from? Like, why are you attacking us? And it looked like the ice elf was going to answer the question. And then that's when the glitch happened. And he repeated what he said.
Gotta go back and double check that.
Oh, yeah.
Not gonna do it now, but that's this episode. Okay, cool. I will make it a point to look at that. Now, At the end of that episode, he is unable to use his necromancy powers to cause the elf to join his spirit army.
Correct.
And it shows that he tried that, I'm guessing 3 times, because it says 3 attempts failed. So he can only use the arise skill so many times in a day. It has reset in the cooldown and that sort of stuff. And
on a particular character. He can only use it 3 times on a particular character.
Okay, cool. Because see, that was one of those things they didn't show the full screens or whatnot, but I assumed it said 3 attempts, that he could only try it 3 times. I didn't know if there was this cooldown for the day, but okay, if it's a specific character, good to know. But since he could not get that particular enemy to join his spirit army, the very first thing that I thought about there was maybe his level isn't high enough, because he actually had to jump the ice elf. Like, he's taken out most monsters by himself, but he had Sigrid coming one way, Iron coming the other way, was making this demon fight everything. They had to jump my boy. So the ice elf was obviously quite strong, which is what made me think that perhaps maybe he was a player. And also thinking, if he was a player, typically in a lot of PvP games, when you kill the enemy or when you take out your opponent, their loot drops, but you can't do anything with their body.
Right. Gotcha.
So that's what made me think maybe this was another player. I'm just looking for the clues to kind of give me some insight.
Gotcha.
But he wasn't able to use the arise skill, and he continues on, goes about the mission. He walks out of that dungeon, and there's a couple people that are interested in having some conversation with him, because it's like, bruh, how are you again surviving these high-ranked dungeons? How are you the only person coming out these high-ranked dungeons? Something ain't right about that. And you got some splaining to do.
This is becoming a habit, my man.
Right. And then he was like, rather than worrying about how I'm coming out this dungeon, you should be grateful I brought your people out this dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, you know what? You're right.
Keep in mind that conversation was had with an S rank.
Yeah.
Right. So the aura is like, hey, my man, I asked you a question, you're supposed to answer. And
he hit him with the Ryan Gosling, like, looking at him like he was short.
All right.
Like Bernie Mac said, looking at him like he was short. And he was like, hey, bro,
your hand on me.
You got your people here. That's what you need to be focused on. And sure enough, he comes out and like, hey, he's like, you know what? You're right. We can have our conversation at a later time. Thank you for saving our people. And my man gave him a deep bow too. So it was like, much respect for that. And he's already a character in my head that I like, because I can tell that even though he's S rank and will throw hands, he seems like he will throw hands for a good cause. Now, after that, we see a little bit more adventuring, some more dungeon diving and whatnot. And my man Jin-Woo finally goes back towards the main tower that he's been trying to collect all the components for the elixir of life. Makes easy work of everything that's happening in there, and even takes out the Rhino King. He takes out the Skeleton Lord.
Yes.
And I mean, it's just like it's slowly becoming not a challenge to him at all.
One of the things I liked about that episode, so that was episode 3, and that was as the gamer, that was the gamer episode, right? That was the grindy episode, right? He has to go through 10,000 demons, lower level demons, before he gets to fight the demon boss. I did enjoy that. There's also a couple of comedic things that they left out in that episode that I'm kind of liking. I'm loving Iron as a character.
Like, he was an interesting character in life, and he's an even more interesting character as part of the Spirit Army. And I expect that he will continue to be second in command. I'm curious, if more and more, do those enemies get the option to rank up as well? Or do they level with Jin-Woo as he levels? As Jin-Woo gets stronger, the mana and, the magic he can put into them increases, thereby making them stronger as well. And so, because he does talk at one point about having the wizards out, that was draining his mana. So he like puts them back because it's just a drain on his mana. But as he levels up and gets more mana, he can keep them out longer. And so it's, I'm curious to see how that is affected. And the reason being is, of course, like I try to pay attention to like the opening and closing credits. And I've noticed that the opening and closing credits for this one haven't really changed yet. So I've been watching, and as the episodes go on, you start to see moments and scenes and characters from different episodes pop up in the credits. And it's like when you saw it, when I watched them at the season 2, episode 1, when I watched the closing credits there, watched the opening credits there, I had no context for any of that. 5 episodes in, I'm like, oh, that's and I'm like picking it out and spotting people and spotting things that are happening. When we got to A Long Way to Go, Still a Long Way to Go, the episode we were discussing, we see that Jin-Ho has been clearing all of these C rank dungeons, because he himself is D rank, and having Jin-Woo with him makes it very easy for them to clear out the C rank dungeon. Even watching Igris and Iron.
Igris, that's it.
They are stronger. They are above C rank because Jin-Ho has nothing to do in this dungeon. And he's like, what can I do to help? How can I assist? Because there's nothing available for him. He's weak in comparison. So it does make me curious, like what other enemies are we going to see Arise used on and get added to the Spirit Army? And
there's something that the show does not do as well as the manhwa or the light novel. The manhwa focuses a lot on his leveling up. So a lot of times, like for example, when he was grinding and killing all the demons, you're seeing like that box, right? That level up box constantly appear. So the manhwa, all the written medium, really does put a bit more focus onto the fact that he is still not there yet, because he's still leveling up. He still needs to get stronger, and he still has room for improvement. And so the anime does a great job at translating the action from the written medium to the anime. Everything looks great. Like everything looks absolutely awesome. All the fights are well drawn. They're well choreographed. They look great on screen. But when they leave that out, again, not essential to the plot of the story or where it's, or do you need to know that he's leveling up, right? They do kind of mention towards the end of fights that he might have gained levels, or he might have got something out of the fight. But I really did enjoy in the manhwa those constant reminders of, oh, he's beaten 3,000 demons, and that was 4 levels. And then when he gets to 6,000, oh, it's 2 more levels. Things like that kind of make a difference in this universe, being that this universe, I guess from the perspective of he's the player, and something is happening where the system allows him as the player to level up. But something is controlling this, right? The fact that the Ice Elf had a limitation on his interaction, all these things have an interaction and a limitation that is set on them by the system. And so the gaming aspect, even though this is a real world situation that they're going through, there is a gaming administrator or something that is behind the scenes that is somehow regulating everything that is happening. And those leaving out those minor details, again, doesn't affect the plot overall, but it does provide a bit more
context.
Yes, a bit more context to why certain things happen the way they happen. Like
the visual that I gave myself for it to make sense is like you have rank E, D, C, B, A, S. And I imagined that there were 100 levels per rank, because you could have two A ranks and they not be on the same level. In the case of Jin-Woo, when he upgrades, he started off as rank E level 0. Then he was rank E level 1, level 2, level 3, all the way up until he was a rank E level 99. And that next level up put him as a rank D level 0. Anybody, like you said, that's where the gaming part comes in. Anybody who plays RPGs understands that, like,
Right, exactly.
you could be about to level up if you get enough experience, but you could just be staying at that, like that bar is 3/4 full for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of experience that's required. And then, just like as he's pointing out, the amount of experience he gets from enemies, the amount of experience he gets from the different things, like that starts to lessen as his level goes up. So that's the visual that I take into mind, or I keep in mind, and I kind of use to help it make sense for what's going on. I do have questions as we get into still a long way to go. We see the magic beast who can talk, Jin-Woo's daddy.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you
Oh
something.
yeah.
When I first saw Jin-Woo's daddy, I immediately thought to myself, oh, he's a player. He's absolutely a player.
Mm-hmm.
It is something about the S ranks that their eyes can glow, because not only do Jin-Woo's eyes glow, his father's eyes glow, and even the guy that sent Hunan, or what's his name?
Oh, Dunsuk,
Dunsuk,
the
yes.
brother, yeah.
Even when he goes by to talk with, because he's like, obviously Jin-Woo's daddy comes out. He speaks Japanese. He's only able to give the basic information. I'm human, want to go home. They think because he came out of a dungeon, like, oh no, he's got to be a beast type, but he can speak and he looks human. So of course they're like, we'll give this a minute. And he comes with a warning. When he came with his warning, I was immediately taken back to season 1, episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized something that I just missed the first time. There's been a time jump. I don't know what took place, but in season 1, they were talking about the island.
Correct.
They were on the island. And I kind of remember some of the people that were on the island. Like we see these different characters and they're on this island. And you hear conversation at some point later about the people and like the losses they took on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wonders if that was 10 years ago, because Jin-Woo's daddy's been gone for 10 years. He's been stuck in a dungeon for 10 years. And now I wonder if there's some connection between him being stuck in the dungeon, this time jump that obviously has happened because some of the people who are on the island are now just like regular S-ranked people in
Mm-hmm.
Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like you not trying to get back to the island. So you've obviously put that behind you, which means some time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
See how the wheels get to turning? And so I'm like, okay, Jin-Woo's daddy is somebody important. Now, obviously it's somebody important because he had a hell of an introduction. And his very first thing, he just whooped up on my boy. I'm mad they didn't show
Put him in the hospital.
I'm mad they didn't show that. I wanted to see him catch paws because he was like, oh, what's your name? You wouldn't happen to know. Oh, and you have a wife and 2 kids. What's your kids' names? Oh, well, you're never going to see Jin-Woo. And then that eye started glowing. I was like, oh, buddy. He beat the brakes off, boy. And all he had to say was, stay away from me and my family.
There you go.
If you die, even death won't keep you from me. Let me tell you something. When you can threaten somebody beyond the grave, when he woke up, that was the first thing he thought about was like, who does he think he is? Saying he'll threaten me even if I die. That death won't save me from him. My man was scared. My man was scared. He was embarrassed and scared. And
he's a bully. Like,
yeah.
Right? He's a bully.
Yeah.
He came when first time he came to Korea, it was all, who's gonna stop me? I'm getting ready to run down on Jin-Woo. I know he got something to do with my brother's death. You know, he bossing everybody around the whole 9 yards. Then, you know, you get called back. So you go back to America. You start talking to my man all reckless. And you, S-Rack, you used to, you know, having your way. These guys are, you know, there's nothing they can do. They stated it. You know, there's really nothing we can do against S-rank hunters, right? They stated it in the show that if you're not S-rank, those people pretty much have carte blanche to do whatever they want.
They've got this dude freedom.
Right.
He's got the James Bond license to kill.
Okay. He put you in the hospital, laid up, bandaged up, broken up. He beat you with ease. With ease. He left that battle unscathed. Okay? Yeah, you should be afraid. Yeah, you should be afraid. You should be very afraid. I feel like they can get people more hooked into the characters, but
no, it's
for them,
it's great. I mean, honestly, I think they're giving us enough because there's some stuff that like you have to watch this episode once and twice because there are so many visual clues for those that know how to look for them.
Well, like Chairman Go, for example, the Hunter Association, right?
Right.
When he goes to recruit Jin-Woo, the main he talks about how he wants the balance, right? The balance because you got the Hunters Guild who has 2 S ranks, and that's unprecedented. So right now they're at the top. So that really messes with the power dynamic of the guilds, and it looks like that's the main reason why he wants Jin-Woo. And technically, it's not. It's more that he's old and he's aging, and he wants a successor. He really wants Jin-Woo to take over the Hunters Association as a successor. And the manhwa and the light novel really go into that a little bit more. There are like long conversations that he has that would endear you more to Chairman Go.
Now, there are a few things that still kind of come through that bring up question. And some of it is even addressed. I'll say addressed in the last episode. But when we watch when you see the opening and closing credits, you've got, it looks like all of the hunters, all the S-rank hunters are having a battle at some point. But it doesn't look like it was on the island. One, because the girl, she's the new, so what?
Choi? The S-rank girl?
The one with the sword, the
Choi.
The one that like covers her mouth.
Choi.
We're getting her kind of highlighted. And let's see, I got it up on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 S ranks working together. The one guy who uses his fists, he's got like the wild red hair. He's the one we like because he's the vice chairman of one of the Hunters Guilds.
The White Tiger.
Right. Then you've got the guy who wears all the rings and does like the fire magic. We've got old girl with the short sword. I mean, with the rapier. Choi, I think you said. We've got dude with the big shield, and we've got the archer, which would leave the dude with the hat. So I want to see whatever event requires them to team up. I can't wait for that episode.
Oh yeah.
We've also seen by the end of this episode, we have Jin-Woo has teamed up with an expedition, an A-rank expedition, who goes into a dungeon, and they come across the Orc Lord.
The High Orcs. Yes.
Now, I really, truly noticed it when you brought it to my attention that he started to answer, he glitched and just repeated himself. I remember that. When you brought it to my attention, I remember that. But this time, the orcs glitched in order to be able to communicate in the correct tongue. So it went from them not being able to speak to being able to speak to now being able to speak correctly because they're not talking to Jin-Woo. Part of that makes me wonder, though, if he hadn't been a part of the party, would it have happened? You can only trigger certain conversations if certain people are in the party.
Remember, this was a big thing with you season 1, right? About could anybody have been
anybody have become the player?
Another thing, consider, and keep this in mind as you watch this show. All of the gates that open can be measured, right? Have you ever heard of an S-rank gate? We haven't heard of an S-rank gate.
They've not had an S-rank gate yet.
The most we've heard is an A-rank. It's the most we've heard is an A-rank, which is usually the red gates. Right? The red gates. And you can only get a red gate if when they initially measure it, it starts off as a B rank, right? So if they measure it when it's blue and it says B, They know there's the possibility that it can turn into a red gate, which is usually why if it's a B rank gate, they're probably going to send an S rank in there just in case. Because it's like, hey, the potential for this to go wrong is bad. We got to have somebody super powerful in there just in case. And in most cases, whatever S rank they send in there is able to handle whatever issue they have. The only time that has not happened that we know of is the island.
Correct.
So think about it too from a system perspective. And as a system guy, I want to give you, I'm not going to tell you where it's going, but I want you to think about something from a system perspective. What is it that all systems have in order to run? They have an administrator, right? And then they have certain rules and limitations based on what's supposed to happen and what gate can go here and what type of enemies are in this gate and when does this change and when does this happen. Some of these are, RNG, right? They're random generated. But some of these are according to the storyline. So you have very good theories on where things are going, but I wanted to give you something else to think about as well that fits the theme of where the show is, the premise of the show and what the show has shown you so far. Because the one thing I will say is the anime is line in line with the manhwa. It contains everything. It's going exactly according to how the manhwa is going, according to how the light novel. Only thing it does is leave out details. They have not changed anything. They actually have added a couple of cool little fight scenes. And
some visuals.
So, they have added some cool visuals. But they're staying true to what the readers have expected from the story. So I think you'll be pleasantly, I'm not going to say surprised, but when you get your answers, you'll like your answers. So this is not you're wrong about the way you're thinking about it.
It's just, there's I know that I still need a little bit of explanation for it to make sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm glancing at the episode 1, looking at 10 years ago, and here we got Guildmaster Choi, whenever you're ready. And that's a younger him with his fire. And they go on to explain that like a series of gates linking to our world, magic beasts, all of this took place 10 years ago. So there again, it matches up. Right around the time the hunters came about, because the hunters would have been created 10 years ago when the gates happened. Mm-hmm. And wait. They're going through the list. Let me count again now because they had it on screen. They showed everybody. So there's the two main guys, the guy with the glasses and the redhead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mm-hmm. There were only 9 people shown right there. And then Jin-Woo at the bottom. Technically, there's our 10. Haha. See, it's a visual trick. And they go on to talk about how nobody could ever increase. And then it's 3 years later. So there's our time jump. I apparently missed it the first go round. Mm-hmm. It's been 3 years since the island. That still doesn't math to explain how he's been trapped in the gate for 10 years, unless he's been trapped since day 1. Because according to this, it's only been 13 years since the appearance of the gates. Mm-hmm. Because at the start of the show, it talks about it being 10 years ago when they showed up. 3 years after the events of the island is where we are now. And then however long it's been for season 1 into season 2, we'll call that a couple of months, maybe. So yeah, very interesting. Does make me think. And again, that just ties in. There's 2 things I wanted to point out real quick. In the last episode, or in episode 5, the one mage, she's able to detect Jin-Woo using his stealth skill, turning the tide of the battle, and agrees not to say anything because had it not been for him, they'd all be. For whatever reason, he obviously doesn't want anybody to know. She can pick up on that, and she's like, okay, I'll keep it quiet. You don't want to tell nobody? I won't say. And the last part, of course, is the Orc Lord wanting to talk to the humans.
Right.
What's that about? You don't strike me as the type that wants to bargain, but what's it going to be like? Leave our dungeon and like what is the conversation going to be?
And that's that's what makes it so. And there you go. That's the hook, right?
Right. Of course, it's like now it's like,
Tune in to
oh, I gotta
episode 6.
wait. Now I gotta wait a whole week to. Yeah, that's the problem. Because of course, the first thing that comes to mind is like it would be different if they presented it the way where like the orc commander walked up to Jin-Woo and was like, "We want to talk with you."
Right.
But no, he's like, "We'll address whoever's in charge here, and I want all of you to come back." And they go back, and now it's like, "This is what we're, like, you're gonna talk with our king." And then we get there, we see the king, and it's like,
And
he looks
notice this
pretty
is
strong.
different than with the Ice Elves.
Right.
The Ice Elves almost instantly recognized, right? The leader almost instantly recognized
Right. No,
that
he said
Jin-Woo
he's like, "You're not
was
like
strong.
them." He was like, "You're not like them. Step
Yeah.
aside, let me kill them." And you can see Jin-Woo was thinking about it for a minute. That's what I'm talking about. Like that power is corrupting. But he
Mhm.
was more interested in like fighting him because he has that Goku problem. Like, hey, you look strong. Want to fight? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? When he was down in that dungeon, he was so tempted to go into, knowing full well that if he goes through that gate and fights the boss, it'll collapse the gate and ruin all the mana crystals they're trying to recover. And he
Right.
was still like, I gotta go. I'll just step in for a second. And that's where a girl came up and she was like, hunters stink, but you don't. Are you sure you're a hunter? Again, just further adding to the he's not a part of, like, he's a player, but being a player makes him different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean, obviously it makes him different, but I want to say that makes him it. He's now technically a beast. That's why the other beasts are interacting with him differently. When his daddy comes out, who's been gone for 10 years and is an S rank, they are assuming he's a beast.
Remember too, he's a player. And one thing that most players get to do that other participants don't get to do is most players have access to console commands. So this gives him a bit of an advantage when it
I
comes
mean, being able
to
to read the names above things, yes, no, he's got access to the store, his inventory options. Because even though girl was like, didn't he just have a weapon in his hand? The fact that he can pull his weapons out the way he can is apparently not something everyone else can do.
Mhm.
So, yeah. All in all, man, I am loving this show. This is without a doubt one of the best anime I've watched, and I'm trying so hard to be patient and just enjoy the anime, but it is definitely making me want to go and check out the manhwa and read ahead and know what's going to happen because, oh my god, I have to know what's happening.
And I look, having read the manhwa has not ruined the show for me. Thank
Well,
you.
look, we've done episodes 1 through 5. There's going to be
Mhm.
13 episodes, so I say we can do our next one 5 through 10, and then we can do a series end as we get to the last 2 episodes, series finale. We'll do a season recap about all the cool things that we've seen so far. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of GAG Anime. Be sure to like, subscribe, click the QR code there so you can find everywhere you can find Grown A Geeks. I am S Rank Anime Fam. I'm Elder Geek Sam. That's been RG Cashmere. We hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. We are out of here. Peace.